Amanda Blake was born Beverly Louise Neal on February 20th, 1929, in Buffalo, New York, and her early years already hinted at the independence and resilience that would later define her career. When her family relocated to Claremont, California, she adapted quickly, immersing herself in school activities and discovering a natural gift for performance. Even as a young girl, she gravitated towards storytelling and stage work, finding confidence in front of an audience. After graduating from high school, she briefly attended Pomona College. But academia could not compete with her growing determination to act professionally. Like many aspiring performers of her era, Blake balanced ambition with practicality, working as a telephone operator before breaking fully into entertainment. She later credited that job with teaching her patience, emotional intelligence, and how to connect with people from all walks of life. Those early lessons would serve her well in Hollywood, where talent alone was never enough. Amanda Blake entered the industry prepared not just to perform, but to endure, finding her place in 1950s. Amanda Blake's early Hollywood career unfolded during a demanding period for actresses, especially women seeking roles beyond stereotypes. In the early 1950s, she appeared in several films, including Stars in My Crown, Smuggler's Gold, and Miss Robin Crusoe, performances that showcased her striking presence, husky voice, and emotional range. These roles may not have made her an overnight star, but they established her as a dependable and compelling performer. Hollywood at the time often rewarded conformity, yet Blake stood out for her authenticity and grounded demeanor. She was neither manufactured nor distant, and that quality resonated with casting directors and audiences alike. Behind the scenes, she navigated an industry that expected actresses to maintain carefully controlled public images, a pressure that demanded constant self-awareness. Blake learned how to protect her private self while delivering vulnerability on screen. This balance between openness and restraint will become essential to her longevity, allowing her to build a career rooted in consistency, professionalism, and quiet strength rather than fleeting publicity. Gunsmoke and the birth of Miss Kitty, Amanda Blake's defining role, arrived in 1955 when she was cast as Miss Kitty Russell on the television western Gunsmoke. What began as a supporting role quickly evolved into one of the most iconic female characters in television history. Miss Kitty was not a passive figure or background decoration. She owned and operated the Long Branch Saloon, spoke her mind, and commanded respect in a frontier town dominated by men. Blake infused the character with warmth, intelligence, and emotional complexity, creating a woman who was both compassionate and unafraid to assert herself. Over nearly 2 decades, audiences watched Miss Kitty grow, struggle, and endure, mirroring the evolution of women's roles on television itself. Blake appeared in 19 of the show's 20 seasons, becoming a familiar and trusted presence in American households. Her performance subtly challenged expectations, proving that strength and sensitivity could coexist, and that female characters could be central without losing depth or dignity. Bonds behind the camera life on the Gunsmoke set became a stabilizing force for Amanda Blake, especially during periods of personal transition. She formed close, enduring friendships with her castmates, finding a sense of belonging that extended beyond scripted scenes. Her rapport with co-stars was rooted in mutual respect. Long hours, and shared commitment to the show's success. Even on days she was not required to film, Blake often returned to the set, treating it as a second home rather than merely a workplace. That environment offered structure in an industry known for instability, the familiarity of the saloon set, the rhythm of production, and the trust among colleagues created a rare continuity in her life. These relationships were not about publicity or performance, they were about support. For Blake, Gunsmoke was more than a career milestone. It was a community. The emotional safety she found there allowed her to bring consistency and authenticity to her work, season after season. Personal life and the weight of privacy, Amanda Blake's personal life unfolded largely away from public spectacle, despite her fame. Over the years, she experienced multiple marriages, each reflecting different stages of growth, change, and emotional searching. Like many public figures of her era, Blake lived under unspoken expectations regarding image, propriety, and silence. The pressures of Hollywood often made privacy both necessary and fragile. Relationships were affected by demanding schedules, constant scrutiny, and the difficulty of sustaining normalcy in an abnormal world. Rather than sensationalizing her private experiences, Blake approached life with discretion, rarely inviting public commentary on personal matters. This restraint was not secrecy for its own sake, but a means of self-preservation. She understood the cost of oversharing in an industry quick to judge. Her choices reflected a woman navigating adulthood under unique pressures, striving for connection while protecting her autonomy. Through it all, Blake remained committed to her work, her causes, and a personal code rooted in dignity and resilience. Compassion in a time of fear. During the 1980s, the entertainment industry, like much of society, was deeply affected by fear and misunderstanding surrounding serious illness. Amanda Blake witnessed how stigma and silence could isolate individuals, particularly those already marginalized. Rather than contributing to speculation or judgment, she responded with empathy. Blake believed that compassion mattered more than explanation, and she quietly supported friends and colleagues facing illness at a time when open discussion was rare. She understood how damaging fear could be, both emotionally and socially, and she rejected narratives that reduced people to labels. While she was never a public spokesperson on every issue, those close to her described a woman who listened without judgment and offered kindness without conditions. Her approach was rooted in humanity rather than headlines. Blake's perspective reflected a broader understanding that dignity should never be conditional. In an era marked by uncertainty, she chose discretion, loyalty, and empathy, demonstrating that support does not always require publicity to be meaningful. A lifelong commitment to animal welfare. Away from the camera, Amanda Blake's deepest passion was animal welfare. Long before celebrity activism became commonplace, she devoted time, resources, and energy to protecting animals, particularly those held in captivity. After retiring from Gunsmoke, she became increasingly involved with organizations focused on humane treatment and conservation. Blake served on the board of groups dedicated to wildlife protection and helped support initiatives aimed at improving conditions for large animals. Her advocacy extended beyond donations. She visited facilities, spoke publicly about ethical responsibility, and used her influence to push for better standards. Animals, she believed, depended entirely on human stewardship. and that responsibility should never be taken lightly. Her commitment earned her recognition from respected organizations, but accolades were never her motivation. For Blake, this work was personal and urgent. She viewed compassion as action, and her efforts left a lasting impact on animal welfare, practices, and awareness in the United States. Facing illness with courage. In the late 1970s, Amanda Blake confronted a serious health challenge when she was diagnosed with oral cancer. The diagnosis forced her to reassess her lifestyle and priorities, particularly her long-standing smoking habit. Determined to fight the disease, she underwent surgery and emerged with renewed purpose. Rather than retreating into privacy, Blake chose to share her experience in hopes of helping others. She became an advocate for cancer awareness, emphasizing prevention, early detection, and honest conversation. Her willingness to speak openly resonated with many who saw her not just as an actress, but as a survivor. Blake worked closely with health organizations, lending her voice to campaigns that sought to educate rather than frighten. Her advocacy was grounded in realism and hope, encouraging people to take responsibility for their health without shame. Through this chapter of her life, Blake demonstrated resilience, using adversity as a platform for awareness and positive change. Final years and lasting grace. Amanda Blake's final years were marked by reflection, continued advocacy, and quiet strength. She remained engaged with causes close to her heart, particularly animal welfare and public health, even as her own health declined. When she passed away in August 1989, at the age of 60, the news prompted an outpouring of remembrance from fans and colleagues alike. While public discussions initially focused on familiar narratives, those who truly knew Blake remembered her for her integrity, generosity, and compassion. She faced life's challenges without bitterness, choosing empathy over judgment and purpose over fear. Her death marked the end of a remarkable journey, but not the end of her influence. Blake left behind more than a legendary television role. She left an example of how to live with quiet courage. Her life reminds us that strength is not always loud, and that dignity often reveals itself most clearly in how one treats others. Amanda Blake's enduring legacy. Today, Amanda Blake is remembered as more than Miss Kitty. She stands as a symbol of a woman who navigated fame with authenticity and responsibility. Her work on Gunsmoke helped redefine female characters on television, while her off-screen efforts demonstrated compassion in action. Blake understood the power of visibility, but she also respected the importance of privacy and nuance. She did not seek to dominate conversations, yet her influence remains unmistakable. Through advocacy, artistry, and empathy, she shaped a legacy that continues to resonate. Her life reflects the complexities of her era, as well as the timeless value of kindness and courage. Amanda Blake's story is not one of scandal or spectacle, but of quiet impact. In remembering her, we honor a woman who lived thoughtfully, cared deeply, and left the world better than she found it, both on screen and far beyond it.